Morning. So it's a glorious, if slightly chilly, April the 12th, and we're on our way on section 1 of the Leicester Outer Orbital Path, which I've just made up. And I decided to skirt the outskirts of Leicester, touching on all those spots where we're connected to the centre by concrete. So I'm just climbing out of Queniborough. Today I'm going to go through Barkby, Humberston, and end up at Oadby. So in old worlds that's Barkey's place, Honeyworth Stone and Oty's place. All Anglo-Saxon villages, and apart from Barkby they've all been enveloped by the outer conurbation of Leicester. So let's see what we find. So when you're planning a route that you've not done before, nothing beats a paper map spread out on the worktop in the kitchen. So how are we going to get round Leicester? It's my route, my walk, so I can do what I choose. So I'm going to start from Queniborough up here. There's Barkby, we've been there before. Come down from Queniborough straight across, follow this path here. Then we can either go into Leicester and go all the way round, but I think it would be better just to follow the sort of general contour of the outskirts. So we'll do a bit of road walking. Interesting, medieval village of Hamilton. Then we'll strike in along this footpath, and then we'll go around the outside of the outer reaches of Leicester. Gets a little bit posher now when we get to Scraptoft. And where should we go after Scraptoft? I think what we'll do is take these footpaths round to Bushby, and I think this meets the A47, yeah. And then we'll pick up this path here. Where does that go? Okay, we have to walk down Thurmby Lane to Stoughton, and then we'll have to walk out on the road, but then we can use this footpath to get to Oadby, and then we'll go around the edge of Oadby, try and find somewhere across this Washbrook, try and keep to the outskirts. And I think that's far enough. That's the A6. Hopefully the A6 has buses going down it, and I'll be able to get a bus into Leicester, then another one back to East Gosport. The LE Oop, section 1. So just coming into Barkby, Barkey's settlement, or Barkey's place as I like to think of it. It's one of 70 settlements in Leicestershire ending with B, which is the Danish for settlement, and that's because this place was under the rule of the Danes until Alfred the Great liberated us in the year 920. Alfred the Great, of course, the first accredited King of England, from whom we can trace a lineage all the way to our dear old Queen today. So, Barkby is still a little village. It hasn't been consumed by Leicester yet, although it's pretty close to Thurmaston and the retail park there, but it still manages to maintain a sleepy, idyllic country village feel. So that's the way we need to go, but we'll take a detour down here just to show you the odd thing in Barkby, although we've been here before and I've shown you quite a lot of it already. They clearly have intelligent vehicles in this part of the world, and woe betide any of them that are out at night acting suspiciously when they should be safely tucked up at home in their owners' drives. And here's the fine old church in Oadby, 13th century, extended in the 19th century. A village of 350 people now. It's a church that can hold thousands, typical of these settlements. And here, at the end of the churchyard, you get a glimpse of Oadby Hall, which has been the family home of the Poachin family since 1602. Poachin family probably responsible for that church, and also the village school, which is called the Poachin School. I remember driving around Leicester Ring Road and seeing Poachin's kitchens. I'm sure there must be a link there. So climbing out of Oadby on our way round the eastern fringe of Leicester. Still very rural, but we're close to the city, or the outer skirts of the city, and we'll be hitting them fairly soon. And this may in fact become part of Leicester if the northeast of Leicestershire sustainable urban extension goes ahead. 4,500 houses reaching out from Leicester to enclose Oadby, and finishing once and for all its rural isolation. Obviously people need to have somewhere to live, but the people of Oadby aren't that keen on the quotes 5,000 houses unquote, as they call them. Bit of an exaggeration, it's only 4,500. Here's an illustration of what I just said. Here we are, still in the countryside, but just over there you can see the outskirts of Leicester. Carry on panning round. You can look into the heart of Leicester itself. So we're just outside Leicester's influence at the moment, but we're going to hit it very soon. So ahead of us here we've got the outskirts of Humberston and the Stone, and it's one of those places where you can walk straight into Leicester on pavement, so it counts as a waypoint on the Leicester Outer Orbital Path. Before we get there, we're going to do a little detour past the medieval village of Hamilton, which doesn't exist anymore. So here we are, Hamilton Lane, and I'm afraid there's nothing for it than for us to walk down this for a bit. Looks all right at the moment, but I've just counted about 8 cars, so looks a bit busy. Wish me luck. So there we are, survived that lane, and that is about as far as this bit of Leicester goes. So now we head in approximately this direction to actually hit the streets of Humberston and Humberston Gardens. And these mounds here that you can see that we're walking through are all that's left of the medieval village of Hamilton. Hamilton now gives its name to a massive housing estate just a little bit west of here. Big Tesco Extra superstore and the industrial estate. But this is where it all started. I wonder why they left. Well, this is new. The Ordnance Survey obviously can't keep up with the ever-spreading conurbation that is Leicester. So I guess in the spirit of Edgelands walking, I should turn left and walk round the outside of this. Countryside one side, last little tendrils of the city on the other. Yeah. Can you imagine it might be quite nice when it's matured? I guess this is what they mean by a sustainable housing development. Although those ponds are also to catch all the flood water to stop the estate flooding when it rains. This really is one of the foreshores of Leicester. We are right on the edge of the countryside, but from here you can walk all the way through Leicester to those spots in Rearsby and Queniborough without ever leaving tarmac. Now I think we're heading towards slightly older Humberston as we go back down the onion skins of building through the years. Well, picking my way through these new estates, trying to head round Humberston College to pick up the original route past Humberston Gardens, which is a place I particularly wanted to visit. So just trying to thread my way through these newly built streets that don't appear on the map and get to where I need to get. This looks promising, although it is easy to lose your sense of direction in these housing estates with their twisty windy roads. Let's see. And here we are, clearly passing another watershed from the faux cottagey, faux 1930s into something much more older and functional. Just walking down here in search of Humberston Gardens. The unique thing about Humberston Gardens is that apparently it is the only example in the country of a workers' cooperative forming a housing association to provide homes for its members. And that was at the beginning of the 20th century. Well, I just met a really nice guy who put me right, so I've got a little bit more walking to do up here, Keyham Lane, down to the little roundabout, and then see whether I can actually find the Humber Stone and the garden, Humberston Garden. And here we are, Fern Rise, one of the original streets of the Humberston Garden development. When this was first built, there were bowling greens, there were green spaces, tennis courts, but all that remains now is this rather pleasant suburb of Leicester. Well, I didn't find the Humberstone. I got lost in all these roads around the Leicester Ring Road, but I found a picture, so here it is. So I think it's time to get back on track, so I'm gonna head down here and pick up my original path. There we are, still in existence by the looks of it. Right, so now we're walking out of town again to find the edge at Hamilton Lane through the Netherhall region of Leicester, over this very pleasant green space, and very nice, lovely space to exercise, walk, or just contemplate nature. And here we are, back on Hamilton Lane, on the edge of Leicester. And as the sign says, we're now heading for the very nice suburb of Scraptoft. Scraptoft still has a villagey feel, but it's very much connected to Leicester now. Appears in the Domesday Book as Scrape and Tot, and was once owned by the Coventry Abbey or Coventry Cathedral. That will be Scraptoft Hall, which is a Grade 2 listed building. Used to be a De Montfort University campus. Sadly, it's now up for redevelopment as a brownfield site, but I guess they'll keep the hall as part of that development. And here's the very pleasant church, as all these places have. Big, impressive church. So it's up here past the church, across the A47, then into another B on the outskirts of Leicester, Thurnby. We're not actually going into Thurnby. We're going to skirt round it, get back into the countryside for a short while, and follow the outskirts. You can see some new developments ahead, which again I don't think are on the map, so that's another opportunity for me to get lost. But hey, that's part of the fun. So they're still building that, and you can see the footpath bears slightly left and goes around what was the edge of the settlement. So I think I'll keep to that. Top tip: when you're away from home, never been here before, certainly not on this footpath, the map can take you so far, but always follow the dog walker, because they walk this way every day and they know exactly where they're going. And here's a real Edgelands moment. Just come down that lovely field. I'm going to go across this little footbridge, and then we're into the housing estates. Isn't it great? You build a housing estate, but there's a public right-of-way going through it, and you have to respect that. So I can carry on walking down what I'm sure was a field track, which is now this rather nice posh tarmac track, following the original path of the footpath. So I wanted to go left down there to skirt round on the very edge of Leicester, but I don't think I can. So instead I think I'll follow this footpath through this very pleasant woodland and just dob slightly away from the absolute margin between the city and the country. This is lovely, just going along the side of the houses here through this beautiful little patch of woodland, all coming out, and spring's just beginning to start. Hope for a new year, relief from lockdown, things getting slowly back to normal. Lots of things happening on this channel as things get back to normal. Boating, long distance walking, all sorts. So if you haven't subscribed already, subscribe and hit the bell to know when I upload another video. Well, this is very nice. We've now passed from Thurnby to Bushby, and we're heading down to the A47. We're going to cross that and head on to Oadby. Bushby, clearly a very pleasant suburb of Leicester, another old Anglo-Saxon settlement, but now largely houses for what looks like the more well-off residents of the city. So, A47 crossed, on our way to Oadby. And what a pleasant place Bushby appears to be. Nice pub there, Rose and Crown. Nice church there at the end of the street. Very nice. Still connected by that narrow ribbon of tarmac to Leicester City though. This is where the city and the countryside now meet. And it's out the back of the pub to find the footpath that we're searching for, that hopefully will take us to Oadby. Towards Stoughton with the church in the distance, and that's a busy old road, so I think I'm going to slightly trespass along this hedge. Quite a few planes in the air from time to time. That's because we're right next to Stoughton Airport, which is a small airport for private flying. I don't think there are any commercial flights from there, apart from perhaps business jets or business executive planes. But you certainly can't go to Alicante from Stoughton Airport. And one of the problems with going off-piste down the edge of a field is you don't know you're going to get out again. But I suspect I'm not the first person to have done this. Here we are, having saved ourselves a fair amount of road walking. Well, that's not that bit out the way. It wasn't too bad because there was a verge, so although the road was busy you could walk on the verge quite safely. Now we're heading back out across this field to the next finger of Leicester, and the last for today, which I believe is Oadby, and according to the map that's what we can see ahead of us, the outer fringes of the housing estates of Oadby. So Oadby is another old Danish settlement. Oadby, Uti's dwelling. Over the years that's become Oadby. And it was pretty much a small village until the beginning of the 19th century, when the rich businessmen of Leicester from the shoe and the stocking trade started to build grand houses there. Helped, I guess, by the A6 trunk road. I suppose an early example of ribbon development. Now Oadby's a big suburb of Leicester. Still retains some of its slightly posh overtones, certainly amongst Leicester people, but in fact it's a cosmopolitan area, multicultural like most of Leicester, and famous of course for this prolonged lockdown that it's just coming out of. So I may be one of the first visitors from outside of Oadby to set foot in the place, you never know. Anyway, it's the end of our trip today, and let's have a quick look at it before we get on the bus home. So navigating blind now because my phone's just got to 8%, so I've had to shut down the OS Maps app, but committed it to memory of course. I'm going to try walking around the outskirts of Oadby down this path here. I know that if I cut right, ultimately I'll find the A6, so I'm not too bothered. Let's see whether we can complete the first section of the Leicester Outer Orbital Path more or less as planned. And here we are again. We're walking alongside the first houses of Oadby, but over there we're looking over lovely countryside towards Stoughton. It is amazing that this little path that goes round Oadby here, we really are walking right on the edge of Leicester. You know, right where Leicester stops and the countryside starts. Absolutely fantastic. Well, there's the river, but no way across, so little detour to find a bridge, I guess. And here we are, walking along the Washbrook. Final step of our trip to the A6 in Oadby, around Leicester's Edgelands. This is absolutely lovely. Absolutely lovely. But over there is the beginning of Leicester. Or the end of Leicester, depending on which way you look at it. Well, I'm just walking down the final little bit of strip land between the houses of Oadby and the countryside of Leicestershire. Still absolutely stunning, but we're coming to the A6, which is the end of this particular section of the newly made up Leicester Outer Orbital Path. Great walk. Not quite sure where I was going. Managed to find my way right round the edge of Leicester, as far as I can see, where the city and the country interdigitate. So a fantastic walk. Hope you like coming along. Glad to have you along. I don't know whether I'll carry this on for the next one or do something different. I've got a few to do before things really kick off in May, with boating, London Outer Orbital Path, etc, etc. So, see you next time, wherever that may be. Bye.